Before we get into anything, I think we should hear a PSA about Tommy.
Well, hey there, Tommy. What's with the long face? I don't know why I feel the way I do. I'm just not happy, Doc. Like, I don't feel right. Oh, I think you have anxiety, Tommy. You know, I know exactly what you need. I'm going to go ahead and write you a prescription
for a record player and some sweet new records at Glory or Death Records.
That'll get you back on your feet again, and right as rain in no time.
Glory or Death has all the best bands: Moss Generator, Red Wizard, Love Gang, Red Witch Johnny.
They'll get you feeling peachy keen again.
They even have an insane double album tribute to Thin Lizzy featuring High on Fire, Mothership, Duel, Worshipper, and tons more.
Wowee! Oh, that sure is keen.
Side effects may include extreme giddiness, bloodshot eyes, random cravings, forgetfulness, bleeding of the ears, confusion, nausea, constipation, diarrhea, depression, anxiety, alcoholism, ulcers, or death.
This is the top 5, and today we have Fuzzy from Fuzzy Cracklins Presents and the Swamp Records. Let's get into his top 5. Fuzzy Cracklins. Fuzzy Cracklins Presents. I've got Fuzzy here, and we're going to do a top 5, but we can't forget Lunar Swamp. Speaking of swamp, there is something going on in the ether where it takes a little bit for the vinyl to get there. The vinyl is in transition. It's somewhere. We really don't know, but people are going to get it soon. But we've got some kind of special now. Before we get into the top 5, Fuzzy, what is this thing you got going on this weekend?
We have a big giveaway for at least 8 copies of the Lunar Swamp CD and their tape. Their tape is from Burning Coffin Records. And if you go out and follow Lunar Swamp on Bandcamp, so go hit them up on their Bandcamp page and hit that follow button.
Right.
Along with a bunch of the other bands from the Swamp, Green Hawk, who you had a great interview with a couple weeks ago, Professor Electric, Three Demons, a bunch of the bands. They're all going to give away a copy of the Lunar Swamp CD on Saturday. So you gotta sign up there by Saturday morning. And then the bands will post a message on Bandcamp, and if you leave a comment, that's your chance to enter to win a CD, and I will pick the winners on Sunday.
Cool. And you know what? I got to put this out right away. Even off mic, I talk like, I'm going to put it out on this. I think I got to put it out today. We got to get this out.
Awesome.
We got to get that done. Okay, so let me go into the top 5 mode. Excuse me for a second. Fuzzy, what is your top 5?
These are the top 5 songs you didn't expect Fuzzy Cracklins to dig.
All right. Are we going from the top one down? Is there an order?
Oh, from the bottom up.
Oh, started from the bottom. Now we're here. All right.
We're going to start at number 5.
Go ahead.
Number 5, Bumpy Road by Destruction Unit. Now, this is not exactly a surprise because they're a killer heavy psych band from a couple years ago. But the reason I say maybe you didn't expect me to dig them is because, unfortunately, they're not together anymore. And it's kind of interesting. This is a band, to me, is a classic example of a band that was just a little bit before their time. I feel like if they were out right now, we would all love these guys and stuff. And I want to ask you about them because the last I heard of these guys before they broke up, I thought they were in Phoenix. So I thought maybe you've heard of them. Destruction Unit?
You know what? I got to admit, no, I have not. I really don't know. I'll have to look them up.
Look them up. They're on Apple Music and Spotify and all that kind of stuff. Oh, they're on Bandcamp now. Somebody got a hold of their music and popped it up on Bandcamp. So Destruction Unit, Bumpy Road the whole album is killer, but Bumpy Road is an amazing track.
Okay, so all right, now you're turning me on in some new music here. So yeah, looking up. Yes, they are actually in Phoenix. Okay, so what up with this? Let me see who's in here.
Well, they started in Brooklyn, and there's a couple of videos on YouTube of them doing some live shows, which are incredible. I have no idea how they ended up in Phoenix. Maybe just they moved, or one of the guys moved, or whatever. And it just sort of looks like they just sort of packed it in. Just things didn't work out.
Okay, so
from what I can tell.
What do we got? We're talking true, like full psych punk. What?
to me, it's like this is probably going to sound dumb, but it's like proto heavy psych. You know, if 10 years ago it's proto.
This is so. Oh God. You know, I feel I should kick my own ass for this because I do it all the time. Where I'm like, yeah, it's a trippy Grease doom, you know, whatever, and I'm like, fucking just listen to it, would you please?
Yeah.
And it looks like they got some vinyl. All right, I'm gonna have to find these guys, you know, after we're done and hit them up because they seem to have there's quite a bit of material out there. All right, thank you for that, sir. What is number 4?
Number 4, and this is fun because we were just talking about this on our interview about this band. Number 4 is Gold Dust Woman from Fleetwood Mac.
Ooh, that is such a killer track.
I mean, killer band. They were so huge in the 70s. I don't think it's anybody that didn't live through that, I don't think has a comprehension of how big they were. Right. I mean, for a couple of years, they were just everywhere all the time. And talk about an incredible band. And you could just take the band apart and just say that one section of the band's incredible. You know, like the rhythm section, obviously, right? Since that's who the band's named after. But then there's all this incredible vocal talent. Then there's Lindsey Buckingham and his guitar work. I mean, you know, no wonder they were so incredible because every piece of the band was just fantastic. So, and they were just so huge in the 70s, you know, and everybody had their album. Everybody played them all the time, and everybody dug them. I mean, that was a lot of bands, you know, could be real divisive back then. You know, you either liked disco or you didn't, things like that. But, wow, that band, just everybody seemed to like them.
Yeah, and just even a little bit on the background of it, the way it was recorded, the way Stevie, you know, I mean, geez, you know, my wife and I, every once in a while, we still go back to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction ceremony, and we will watch that. And I gotta tell you, man, straightforward. There's times when I could tear up listening to that because it's so good, and it does talk to me about some of the bands, even in the in the current scene here. Whether we talked before about the band Temple, TMPL. Holy Grove, Ruby the Hatchet, Tenebra, I'm going to get that right, out of Italy, and so many more. Psychedelic Witchcraft, such great songs and have a female vocal. Wow, yeah, Gold Dust Woman. Even, you know, take it or leave it, the band Hole, Courtney Love, she did a cover of Gold Dust Woman. I think it was on the Crow soundtrack. Even that, I'll give a nod to. I mean, even that is great, you know? So, killer pick, brother. Thank you.
Well, and I wouldn't be a promoter of heavy underground music if I didn't make a connection to Crushing Yellow Sun, who just did a cover of that. And Crushing Yellow Sun is the guitarist and the sometimes vocalist behind Dead Panda. Right. So, there we go. A plug to one of my... shameless plug to one of my own bands.
Which, okay, so Crushing Yellow Sun... Which release is it?
He just pops out songs and stuff all the time. I think he just put that out as just a single on Bandcamp last month, I think, by itself.
Oh, nice. I got to check that out.
All right. Are we ready for number 3?
I am ready.
Number 3 comes from Coachella, and this is maybe possibly one of the all-time great shows. So it's the live version. It's Robot Rock by Daft Punk.
Really?
This was their big. That was when they had that massive light show. People were kind of wondering what had happened to the band and all these different things. And it was like this ended up being the seminal moment in music, right? Because it was at Coachella and all this kind of stuff.
Right.
And honestly, that's got to be one of the great live albums of all time. And it isn't just great because it was an event. They took their own music and they changed it and they put their different songs together, and it's like they know how their music should be put together when they're going to make a live playlist.
Right.
And I mean, you can listen to that, and the studio music is great, but this live album is just on another level. I mean, that's how I like to think of it.
Yeah, so we're going to like a, you know, a little bit of like electronic dance kind of vibe, and you know what, you nailed it, because on the idea of Coachella, like I feel it was kind of around that time where Coachella started to be on the lips of everybody, like be more of a household word than than it used to, and it brought it more mainstream success, I guess.
Because this was back in 2007, right? I think, if I got the year right, or at least that was the album it comes off of. It's Alive 2007. So that's
it's got to be around that time, yeah.
Yeah, and I agree with you. Right, Coachella invited them, and then I think the story is something along the lines of Coachella kind of said to them, "You guys can do whatever you want. We'd love to have you." And then they came back and said, "Okay, yeah, we got this pretty great show." But then it ended up costing Coachella a lot of money because these guys really put together this spectacular light package.
Right.
So I'm not sure how, but like you said, it put Coachella on the map. I just don't know if Coachella ended up coming out ahead.
I don't know. And I wonder where they were in the set. A long time ago, I saw this, picture this lineup, all right? Now, okay. So another company, another record company, Glory or Death, they have this Deep Purple tribute that they're working on. So the reason I bring that up is because that was one of the bands. Now this was a Giant Stadium in Jersey. So the opening band was Guns N' Roses. Then Deep Purple, and finally Aerosmith. Really strange night because Guns N' Roses came on and it was chaos everywhere. I was at this point where it was just like, I don't know, man. Is this going to be another situation? Is it going to be a riot? I don't know. But they played the set, and it kind of cooled off, and it was light out, and it was summertime. It was in August, and we're waiting, and we're waiting, and waiting, and waiting. And now come to think of it, I don't know why I didn't go get something to eat. I don't know why I just sat there, whatever. But what it was Deep Purple was waiting for it to get dark enough to do this laser show that they had.
Yeah.
And, honestly, so Deep Purple goes through the set, and of course, as soon as they play Smoke on the Water, there's a few cushions that get lit on fire around the arena.
Yeah.
And then Deep Purple goes off, and it's 10 o'clock, 10:30, and there's curfews, right? So I was like, well, shit, all right, well, I guess I saw Guns N' Roses and Deep Purple, and, well, I guess that's it. I guess no Aerosmith. And, even the lights came on, and I was like, I don't know. And then as soon as the lights went on, everything shut off. And about 5 to 11, all you heard was Steven Tyler, that, my, and came out and killed it that night.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. But I was like, man, I wonder how much, you're talking about Coachella, like how much it cost them. I wonder how much like a band like Aerosmith, if they're paying in like labor costs and fees.
Yeah.
And, for that, I'll never know. All right. So, okay. Robot Rock. We're at number 3. Okay.
Number 3.
Now we're going to go to number 2.
Number 2, Gut Feeling by Devo. So this is off their debut album. Brian Eno was a producer on that one. And, Devo just had this, they were real loud. They were sort of straddled the late 70s rock with new wave. Kind of, you could almost even start to say, there was kind of not really a disco vibe, but they, obviously electronic. I mean, they were just a great loud band. And I got to see them a couple times live, once at a sort of a big place and once in just a little club. And I mean, those guys, they have that whole backstory. They have the costumes. They put on an absolutely incredible show.
Sure.
It's 5 incredible musicians. I mean, all those guys are just amazing musicians. Their songs are great. Man, that was a huge band to me when I was growing up. And I love them. I mean, I still can listen to those guys.
I was talking to another band recently, and they said that they do enjoy playing Devo, and they nerd out to it a little bit. I'm like, okay, interesting. Now, here's the one thing, because I've never seen them live, and you're telling me loud. Like, how does that? I can't imagine what Devo would be like live. Like, what would I expect?
Well, the last show I saw them at was at this little club, so they'd already kind of passed their heyday. Their first 3 or 4 albums did really good, and then they kind of quickly, they were just a little too trendy for their own good or something. They kind of quickly flamed out.
Right.
But they still made albums, and they still played. They all lived in Southern California, so they all So we got to see him like a little club. I think I was like got to see him in like Huntington Beach, maybe about 100 people, maybe 150, something like that.
Wow.
So you're waiting for the show to come on, and by then they'd already had 7 albums in, and Mark Mothersbaugh does all kinds of side projects, and one of his side projects is he did Muzak versions of his own songs. So they're playing all this Devo Muzak to warm up the crowd. So that's a trip.
Gosh.
And they come on stage and they've got like jumpsuits, and I don't think they were doing the dome hats then. I think they had moved on to something else, but they all match. And so they look, they've got this crazy look, and, they just have so much energy and they just play so great. Even when Mark Mothersbaugh's playing the keyboard, he might as well be like Pete Townsend doing his windmills on his guitar. They just, everything, they all have tons of energy, and they're all thrashing around, and they just sound great. And of course, by then they were basically, their set was just like their greatest hits. I mean, they could just play for 2 hours with just all these killer songs that everybody by then knew and stuff. So, oh man, they're just great.
Oh yeah, they've got a catalog, man, and even a cover, Rolling Stones cover. So you can't beat that.
Oh yeah, that's how I first saw them. They were right, because they did that on Saturday Night Live when they first started. And I couldn't believe it, because I was a huge Stones fan as a kid, obviously. And I saw them on Saturday Night Live, and I thought, well, this has got to be one of the most amazing things I've seen. Because they completely turned that song inside and out, and it still sounded great. And they were thrashing around in their yellow jumpsuits. I thought, well, that's a good way to get attention. So,
It sure as hell is.
And my favorite Devo story is Iggy Pop actually was a huge part of the reason they got their start.
I'm listening.
Did you know that?
I have no idea.
I
don't know the Devo bio.
The Devo bio is so they're from Akron, Ohio, and he's from Michigan. And somehow I remember exactly how they met, but by then Iggy Pop was already out in L.A. And Iggy Pop has been known to do a few parties and stuff. And he somehow bumped into these guys at a party, and he just probably said off the cuff, or who knows? I mean, we don't know exactly why he said it. He told those guys, well, hey, if you ever make it out to L.A., I'll help you get started, like recording a record.
Wow.
Well, they remembered that he said that. So they all pile into a van and just show up and somehow find out his address. And he's like living in Malibu or something at the time. And they somehow wander into like a party he's having, and they go, hey, remember us? And he's like, no. And they're like, well, you told us if we came out here, you'd help us get get recorded. And he's like, I don't even know who you guys are. Like, who are you guys?
Oh, no.
So they're like crushed. But then he did finally actually help them get started. I mean, but at first they got there, they drove all the way to LA. Can you imagine, like, not coordinating in advance? They just showed up.
But isn't that old school though? You just drive out. I talked to somebody recently, and he drove out to California, really just to go from record company to record company and say hey. And that was it. And then I drove back to Arizona. I was like, holy shit, really? And you know what's funny? In talking to some of those labels, they remember a lot, but they remembered him. And I don't know. Maybe it's a something. But so did Iggy Pop wind up helping him out, or what?
I can't remember exactly how it worked, but he must have done something, because Brian Eno did produce their first album. Brian Eno, of course, did all that stuff with Bowie and Iggy Pop.
Yep.
So to me, that Iggy Pop must have, or very likely could have been the guy that did connect them together.
Cool. Now, aren't they, it's a two-brother band. Wasn't it like wasn't it?
Devo was two sets of brothers.
Yeah, two sets of brothers. Yeah.
Yeah, the Casalis and the Mothersbaughs. I'm sure I never pronounced that name right. And then one other guy, and they've kind of like classic rock style. They've gone through several drummers.
Yeah.
And I think, was it one of the Casalis that just recently passed away? Maybe, I think so.
I don't know.
They had kind of a comeback about 10 years ago, which was very good. Actually, they put out an album just 10 years ago that was great. And then my other favorite Devo trivia is Mark Mothersbaugh's done music for so many different TV shows. And one of the TV shows he did was for Rugrats, that show for the kids, a long time ago.
Yeah.
And my daughter was like 4 or 5. And I can remember we were watching this. And, you just, as a parent, you're like tootling around, getting the food together or whatever. And I'm not watching the show, but I'm kind of hearing it because the TV's up real loud.
Right.
And I'm kind of struck. I go, that's weird, but the music for this cartoon is actually really good. Like
Right.
I'm like surprised. I like the background music for this TV show that's for kids on Nickelodeon so much. I'm like, well, that's weird. And then one of the songs, I go, God, that almost sounds like a Devo song. That's so weird. I had to watch the credits, and sure enough, Mark Mothersbaugh rolls by in the credits. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Hey, who knows? I don't know. I don't know what Devo was making, but I'm sure that the royalties from that should be pretty good.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm sure that's where the real money was.
And and you hear that time and time again. You hear somebody that says, "Oh, I had the." When I was a kid, you heard something on the radio, and you're like, "Well, they're obviously millionaires, obviously," and it's not the case. Yeah. And I was talking to somebody years ago where they said like it made more money. Like they had a successful career, they had a couple of rock hits, but the majority of the money was made through creating jingles. And again, you never know, man. I was in West Palm Beach, Florida. There used to be a comedy club. It was called the Comedy Corner on Dixie Highway and Flamingo, I think. I don't know why I need to know that. But either way, there was a separate space on the other side where they used to play Rocky Horror at midnight and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
They wound up having some bands before they closed. I think a hurricane kind of like wiped the place where it was just unsalvageable. But so there's this guy is playing, and I felt bad because they have a dark curtain. I don't know if you've ever been to a comedy show where they do this. It's like they close the dark curtain, which means they can't fill the entire club, but they want it to look like there's people there.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't necessarily a packed show, and the guy comes on, and I saw him on this MTV show called The Half Hour Comedy Hour, and I was like, oh yeah, I remember that guy. And he came on, he did his set, and it was awesome, killer set, and he had this voice, and I was like, that's a funny voice. That's it worked within his comedy, and I'm like, that was good. Next thing you know, a couple years later, I'm watching a television show, and I hear this voice, and I'm like, that's that.
Yeah.
That guy's ripping off that comic's voice. Then I find out it's him.
Yeah.
It was Tom Kenny, and he's the voice of SpongeBob.
Oh, what a trip.
So,
yeah.
So I was like, wow, full circle, man. And damn well he's made more money in SpongeBob than any of the comedy.
Hey, we all got to get out there and hustle, man. That's what it's all about. Yeah.
That is what it's all about, believe me. And I'm sure he's doing just fine. And it's a testament to, you got a voice, you got something weird going on. Hey, get out there. Do some voice acting, see what you got.
I mean, one of my bands, because I got to do another shameless plug, the Lancasters, the psych rock dudes out of Northern Italy,
right.
All three of those guys are in work in music. One guy's a teacher, one guy's a producer, one guy's a sound engineer. They're all in like 2 to 3 bands at least that I know of, kind of cross-pollinate with the other ones. And that's the way to do it. I mean, you gotta get out there and try a lot of stuff, and you got to do it all at the same time, because you don't know what's going to click with people, and you don't know what's going to maybe get the lucky break.
Right.
And also, the more projects you work on, the more people you meet, and the more people you meet, the more likely you are to get a lucky break.
And on top of it, personally, because this is the part that I love, especially in Arizona, it's your scene.
Yeah.
You're in the scene. Create the scene. Culminate. I've asked bands about it. It doesn't matter whether they're from Montana, whether they're in Portland, whether they're in Arkansas, whatever. Even these little, even Iowa. It doesn't matter where you are, even in the world. Create your scene. Start culminating. Start vibing, and like you said, pollinating around, seeing what's going on there.
Yeah.
All right. I know we're getting a little outside the box here, so. Do we get it? Are we at number 1?
We're at number 1.
All right. What is number 1?
So number 1, I Feel Love by Donna Summer. How do you like that?
Thank
now
you, sir.
First, I mean, for a couple of reasons. It's an incredible song.
Right.
It was a humongous hit. It was basically kind of is what everyone, when that song came out, people said, okay, disco's here. This is it. She's an incredible singer, but really what does it for me is Giorgio Moroder, the guy that did the music for that.
Okay.
Does not get any, I mean, he's famous and he gets all kinds of credit for being like the guy that put behind a lot of these great disco songs. But he doesn't really get the credit for how influential he was in lots of different kinds of music, because Giorgio Moroder was all about basically, you know, what are we doing now? It's like a super heavy, fuzzy riff. Right. And that's kind of what this guy was all about.
I remember coming across that name.
He was, I wish I could remember some of his other hits that he did. He was one of those guys that, you know, he wrote music for other people. He did soundtracks like for the Cat People that came out with David Bowie in the early 80s and stuff like that.
That's it. Midnight Express.
Oh, did he do that one too?
Yeah, I believe so. I think.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure I remember. It's funny because Moroder seems like an easy last name. I wouldn't remember that. Giorgio. I remember seeing that somewhere where it was Midnight Express or the Gear movie. Call Me American Gigolo.
Oh, yeah, right, of course. Yeah, right, that was a huge hit. Yeah, Blondie, oh my God. Yeah, that was a huge big deal. No, I think he's still around, and as far as I know, he's still even doing some music. So just, it's one of those things that, you know, you can get, there's, you know, some of this heavy music we like, it pops up in other places. You know, it's not just our scene where we get to hear some of this stuff.
Absolutely. So that's the number one. Very, very interesting. And there's, you know, I'm always in the mood for a good Will It Doom moment. I wonder if I Feel Love will doom. I want to drop it down a little bit, half speed. Who knows? Did you ever hear the Blue Man Group did a cover of I Feel Love with I want to say that it was Venus Hum. It was
oh my God, classic. Incredible.
Have you ever seen him live?
Yeah, I have.
Where'd you catch him?
I kind of got lucky, and I saw them only when they were in their first year in Boston. So they started in New York, but I think Boston was one of the first theaters they showed up at. So I got to see him there, and that was fantastic. Then I just got to see him not too many years ago in Vegas. And you would be amazed how little the show changed between... Because they had a great show, so I guess why screw with it, right?
Exactly.
And I love those guys.
I would like, you know, to see the tour. I actually bought the DVD a long time ago, but you know when they did, and hopefully they could have those people come out because Dave Matthews was a part of that. Tracy Bonham was a part of that.
Wow.
Which I don't know if Tracy Bonham is making music, but and there were several other people that I know I'm blanking on right now. But it was such a great concept. Now this is going back. Do you remember on MTV? It would be like Kurt Loder, Tabitha Soren. They would do the Weekend Rock.
Oh yeah.
And then the Blue Man Group was like the fluff piece, I guess, where they said, oh, there's this thing off Broadway and it's happening, and it was, you could tell, a small theater, and etc. And I was like, I gotta go check that out, and it blew me away then. And it's just, you know, the next time I got to see it was in Vegas, and I was like, holy shit, this thing like really took off.
Yeah.
And you know, subsequently I've seen him in Florida as well. But my crowning moment, which I still have on an external hard drive that is dead. If you have any idea of how to get stuff off an external hard drive, I would be open to listening, because I don't know what to do with this, but I've got, you know, thousands of pictures on it. And one of the pictures, I hope I'm not giving away a lot, but they do go through the crowd. The Blue Man.
Oh, yeah. Oh, they climb over the seats and everything. It's insane.
So,
oh, yeah.
I got this moment, and for people that know me, I shave my head. So I'm bald, but I'm not blue. And they don't talk. So one of them comes over to me, and points to me like, you.
Brother.
And he took his hand and put it on his head, and then took it and put it on my head. And it's one of my favorite pictures, if I'll ever get a chance. It was of me with a blue grease paint hand on my head.
Yes.
Killer, man.
Oh, man.
Such a unique experience.
How long did you go before you washed it off? Like, did you wait a week or something?
Well, yeah, in the circumstance, I don't get me wrong. I was peacocking a little bit out in Vegas, so
yeah.
See what I got. Some people get.
Check it out.
They do
I love that.
They do the thumb, where they take the thumb and they put a little mark. But I got the handprint, man.
All 5 fingers, man, dude. That's so cool. Yeah, they're just incredible.
Fantastic.
That's very cool.
So, okay. So what else we got coming up in Fuzzy Cracklins world?
We have a super top secret thing coming up, but I'm going to tell you about it after we turn off the microphone.
Right. All right. Sounds good. Thank you so much for your time. Sincerely appreciate it. Love talking to you, man. And we're going to put this out right away, and then put out some other stuff. I know we got that interview that we got to put out too. Thanks, man. I appreciate the time and appreciate the connection.
Thank you, sir, and thank you for doing this show. It's a real positive thing for the scene. I appreciate it.
You got it, brother. Take care.
You too.
Thank you so much, Fuzzy. And, I know we talked about some bands here and there. We always do. And if you need some band branding, here's the guy right here.
Yeah, hey, what's up, big dogs? This is Mucho Drums here to tell you a little bit about my new company, Mucho Printing. Now, I played in multiple bands for several years, and I know how important it is to leave your mark after any show. Even before hitting that first note, you want the crowd to know who you are and remember who's responsible for the sore necks the next morning. Presentation is an important factor in any band's mission to the top, and that's where we come in. Fully printed backdrops, removable bass drum covers, mesh cab covers, flags. These are just a few products that we can offer to you. We're based out of Los Angeles, California, and can ship anywhere in the United States. More importantly, our goal is to help promote bands off the stage as well. With every order, we'll post pictures of the prints, along with info about the band and any other advertisements you'd like us to include. Please check us out on Instagram and Facebook by searching Mucho Printing. Send us a message for any details. Hope all of you are staying safe, strong, and powerful out there. And remember, you win some, you lose some, but nothing beats getting some. Cheers, my friends.
And also, don't forget, get in the swamp. Subscribe now. $5 a month is where it starts. $7 a month gets you a CD every month. The Swamp Crew subscription, over 125 digital albums to download and stream. Cancel anytime. Music is yours to keep. If you have any questions, head over to Fuzzy Cracklins on Bandcamp or fuzzycracklins@gmail.com. Thanks so much for listening, everybody. Take care of yourselves. Stay healthy, happy, and above all, stay heavy.